Hey, it's Mazzy here, by request, 1967 again. My response video to my own video about Robert Hitchcock's book and record of the same name, 1967, where he covers 11 songs, adds one original, and does this entire album of that great summer, that summer of love that we called it in San Francisco, even though it was really the summer after the summer of real love. But, Robyn, how could you not include something from San Francisco? Wonderful, same psychedelic scene that was happening. Remember, London and San Francisco were pretty much sibling cities in terms of psychedelic music, going back to 65, 66, and the 67. That's where the center of the universe was for this type of music. And you include a song on this album, San Francisco, Be Sure to Wear Some Flowers in Your Hair, written by someone in LA or Mamas and Papas, East Coast, LA, John Phillips. Really? Not one San Francisco band? I'm disappointed, Robyn. Great record still. But I decided, for the sake of the entertainment of my audience here, to put together what would be the songs on my 1967 album. Now, I am not a great guitar player, and I'm even a worse singer. So I'm going to spare you I'm going to spare you. I'm not singing all these songs here, but I do want to start out with one of the albums, which is on my list, and I'm going to recite a poem. This isn't the song I'm picking. I will tell you that, and I'll showcase these 10 records and songs from them. Now, unlike Robyn, skipping San Francisco, I'm not skipping London and the UK. I got some gems in there. But let me start out with this. So I want to set the tone here. Usually, the 60s, you button the top collar. It's kind of mod. I don't think I can anymore. Ooh, look at this. Isn't this kind of cool shirt I got? Someone gave it to me a while back. It's a little tight. I'll admit that. That's the look. That's the look. When the still sea conspires in armor, and her sullen and aborted currents breathe tiny monsters, true sailing is dead. Awkward instant, and okay. I know this. I said it on stage when I had a band in 1967, 68. Seriously, I knew this. Those are the days I could remember lyrics. Awkward instant, and the first animal is jettisoned, legs furiously pumping their stiff green gallop, heads bob up, poised, delicate pause. I totally skipped a part, didn't I? Acute nostril agony, carefully refined and sealed over. I totally fucked that up and skipped a part, but okay, let's move on. I didn't get the gig. I didn't pass the audition. Next, Maslow, Horse Latitudes, from the second album the Doors put out in 1967, September, I believe. I love this record. This is a great companion piece. When people say, oh, they like LA Women because it sounds so good. Fucking better album here. Same with the first album. This is the Doors. This is 1967. This is that intense blues-based psychedelic to a point with the end and with the music's over. And the song I would pick from this album, if I was doing my kind of folky acoustic renditions, it would be People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when B7, B flat 7. When you're alone, women seem wicked. When you're unwanted, streets are uneven. When you're alone. That's about all you're going to get on that one. Horse Latitudes, that wonderful piece of poetry, Jim Morrison, and I love that psychedelic electronic kind of sounds behind it. Of course, Strange Days, Your Lost Little Girl, Love Me Two Times, Moonlight Drive. Every track on here is great. People Are Strange, of course, My Eyes Have Seen You. I Can't See Your Face, and of course, When the Music Is Over. Of course, the end was on the first one. This is the same. I just love this record with this great kind of carnival-like cover from art director, photographer William S. Harvey, who was the Electra guy back in those days. So that would be on my record on. These are not in order. I haven't sequenced mine yet, so maybe someone who can do that, make a playlist. Maybe make a playlist and link it to me, because I ain't making a playlist. She would never say where she came from. Anyway, okay, that's enough. We'll phone you, Mazzy. Next. Ruby Tuesday. Now, Ruby Tuesday, 1967, I think, right? I hope. The Stones weren't great at psychedelia, but I would argue that point. I know Marian Faithfull said they sucked at it because of Satanic Majesty Quest, which I friggin' love that record. But this period, like that 65, 66, when they finally, after recording one of the worst Beatles songs ever, I Want to Be Your Man, started writing their own shit. This is a great great record of singles. Only in America, I think, but Ruby Tuesday, that baroque songs, that neoclassical stuff they were doing, Mick Jagger singing. I love when he goes low. She would never say where she came from. I love that. I love when he does that. Have you seen Your Mother Baby Standing in the Shadows? Of course, My Girl, Let's Spend the Night Together. Lady Jane, that other baroque classic. My sweet Lady Jane. He's so perfect at it. I can't say the Beatles or Lennon even doing that, but they became good songwriters, Jagger and Richards. Mother's Little Helper, of course, Poppin' Pills, but great song. That would be on my folk record, a folk version of Ruby Tuesday. Now, I have to get into San Francisco because Robyn Hitchcock failed us by not including any San Francisco bands. Right? I don't think so. So, from the debut, this is probably the most psychedelic of the San Francisco records. Granted, this is from Berkeley. They're a Berkeley band, commie kind of Berkeley band, very protesty, very revolutionary, very, the Country Joe McDonald. Country Joe McDonald and a band of Jews. We got David Cohen, we got Chicken Hirsch, we got Bruce Barthol, and Barry Melton. 4 Jews and an Irish Scotsman, or Irish guy with Scotsman, I guess. What great folk singer though, Country Joe McDonald. Very psychedelic record. This got a lot of airplay locally. I'm sure in London. I bet you they played this too. And I know a lot of the London people thought, oh, those San Francisco bands, they're not very good musicians, but that's not what it was about. They became good. They came mostly from the folk scene and the bluegrass scene, and they did this great music. And obviously, McDonald's a folk singer. But I would cover on here Not So Sweet Martha Lorraine. I just love that song. I'm not going to sing it for you because it's really out of my range. Well, that's the range I have right there. But this is a fantastic record. I quite like their next record. I Feel Like I'm Fixing to Die. Almost better, but a different way. The song on there I'd pick would be Janice, but that is cheating. But this is a fantastic record. Not So Sweet Martha Lorraine. If anyone wants to do a playlist, Apple Music or something, send it to me. I'll check it out. Or I could do it myself. But next, another San Francisco band. And of course, I could not make a 1967 album sing these beautiful folk versions of psychedelia without including a Jefferson Airplane song. And the obvious choice would be Surrealistic Pillow. But I'm going to the interview, and they got a little more esoteric, a little out there. But the most commercial song on after Bathing at Baxter is Martha. I think that's a Paul Kantner song, and it's so beautiful, romantic. It's wonderful. It's got a nice lightness to it, and it is the only commercial song, maybe Two Heads, I believe, which was the single off this. But I would do Martha, and I would like to hear Robyn do Martha, or somebody cover Martha. Maybe it has been covered. I just don't know. But from 1967's After Bathing at Baxter's. Next, one of the great albums that was totally botched in terms of promotion by Columbia Records, and a great record. And unlike it, they're not really psychedelic band. They're almost blues-based country, rock and roll. And that is probably the more rock and roll of the San Francisco bands that didn't get into these long jams in the same way is Moby Grape. And the song on here is the obvious choice, is 805. 805 is a beautiful record, beautiful song. It's a folk song. 805. Very country. Listen to the acoustic guitar interplay on that song, and that would be a beautiful song. I do feel that when people do covers, they should make it theirs, own it, and don't just cover the song exactly. But 805 is a song that just is a beautiful folk kind of country song on its own. And the story of that song is the writers, I forgot, is it whichever the members of Moby Grape wrote it, were driving across the Golden Gate Bridge. And if you ever cross the Golden Gate Bridge, there's a giant clock above the toll plaza there. And when they went through the toll plaza, it was 805. And that's how that song came about. Now to go something a little different, the post-garage band period when psychedelic singles were on AM radio. And a lot of these bands became one-hit wonders, unfortunately, but Incense and Peppermint, Dead Queen as Mannequins, there's a certain certainty about that song. Strawberry Alarm Clock, of course, I think it was originally on Uni. This is a Sunday's reissue of this album, and it's actually a really good record, but that's one of the great psychedelic pop singles of 1967. I would totally do that. I would rework it in a kind of a folky acoustic way. I can't do it now. I don't know it on guitar. I'm not a genius like Robyn Hitchcock or all you guitar players out there that could just pick it up on the fly. I'm sorry, I don't. How can you not do a record of 1967, which literally one of the best songs of that year, that should have been number one around the world, and it wasn't, and it crushed, literally, the writer, because it's one of the great, not only great songs, it's one of the great friggin' records of 1967, and that is I Can See for Miles and Miles from this amazing album, The Who Sell Out. I mean, commercial, in your face. They even tried to get ads, all the interludes and the crossovers and the transition pieces of music like Radio London. They wanted to sell ads, and that was kind of a concept they talk about. It never really kind of came to fruition, but some people don't like those interludes. They don't like those. That makes a friggin' record with great songs by Pete Townsend throughout it. Now, 1967, I don't think I really even knew that Mary Ann with a Shaky Hand was a song about basically getting a hand job. The only song I know, or the first song I ever knew about a hand job. I probably didn't know what a hand job was when I was 12, 13 years old. I learned quickly. Next, okay, one of my top three bands of all time, the Byrds. I could pick a lot of Byrds songs, but the one song I always go to in terms of myself, and not a big hit, but the title song here, 5D, Fifth Dimension. It's just a great dirge-like, almost like a chant, like a mantra type song. And the way Roger McGuinn sings it is sublime on here. Oh, no, it's a drone, basically. Weekly scientific delirium madness. What a great song. Robyn, you should include that. You should need volume 2, 1967 volume 2, or somebody else. I mean, it's been done. It's not like it's an original thing to pick something, but I'm in this mood right now of 1967. This is great fucking music. And 5D, Fifth Dimension, I would totally do that song. I could probably do that song because the vocal range, I'm limited. I think I could sing high, but I can't. My voice goes low. But I hear it here. I can hear it on key. But I can't sing. That was like one of the regrets in my life that I didn't work on my vocal pattern. And nobody wants me to sing anyway. Of course, one of my favorite songs of 1967 that summer was probably the most appropriate song of 1967, the summer song. There's always a great summer song, right? 1966, Hot Town Summer, the City, Lovin' Spoonful. But I would say Groovin' on a sunny afternoon, Groovin' on a Felix Cavallari, East Coast. They're not a psychedelic band, but they did touch into that. Even on this album, there's some psychedelic vocal effects on it. But Felix Cavallari, oh my God, Groovin' on here. But they do a great cover of A Place in the Sun, where, of course, a few years later, little Stevie Wonder would have a great hit on that. But Blue Eyed Soul, he really does it great. Girl Like You, Sueño, How Can I Be Sure? A gorgeous, gorgeous song. But Groovin, If You Knew, I Don't Love Anymore, You Better Run, You Better Hide. Rockin', kickin' ass song. So I would do this. I would do a folky kind of a laid back, kind of a, not so, it's not psychedelic, but it kind of fits into this beautiful 67 mood that I would do for my album. If I were the great folk singer, the great pop singer, the great folk rock psychedelic singer like Robyn Hitchcock or other artists too. But I did mention this artist, I think, yesterday, and I realized I have to do a Donovan song. And of course, the great box, A Flower to a Garden in America. A box set, you want to do what? And they do that, an adult record and a children's record, and it does okay. It doesn't really sell a lot. And of course, he totally got screwed in the UK the way they did the albums. But Epic, a division of Columbia Records, Clive Davis newly on the scene there, running that place, the lawyer, and then becomes the head of the company and brings it to more rock and roll with Janis Joplin the following year in 68. But Where You Love Like Heaven, I remember going back to that time. That was it a Yardley commercial? Like makeup, very, very Carnaby Street, I'm using a crib sheet here for this, but Scarlet fleece changes hue, crimson ball sinks from view. Of course, I skipped the beginning of it, but still. Where you love like heaven. Lord, kiss me once more. Fill me with song. Allah, kiss me once more. That I may, wear my love like heaven. Color sky, Havana Lake. Color sky, rose, carmethine. Ah, lees and rees and crimson. What a great Scotsman, right? Singing these songs. Welshman, Scotsman. I know the difference. I can't remember now. Donovan Scots or Welsh, or I think he's Scots, right? I should know this. I should have done a little research. Lord, kiss me once more. Fill me with song. I like kiss me once more. Kiss you once more. I love that. Crimson ball sinks from view. I can't do the accent. It doesn't sound like anyone. But this is the standalone. Again, they pulled out the box set and did this Where You Love Like Heaven, Donovan. Great. I would do that. That's got to be on my folk record, on my 1967 song record. And there's one more after this, and I realized at the beginning, as I mentioned 10 songs. You got to have 12 songs on the record, because I ain't writing an original. Sorry. I'll leave that to great artists like Robyn Hitchcock. Robyn picked A Day in the Life for a Beatles song. I'm picking a Beatles song, but I'm picking Strawberry Fields Forever. It's an obvious song. To me, it's a song that epitomized 1967 for the Beatles. One could argue that Strawberry Fields and Penny Lane should have been on Sgt. Pepper. They were kind of meant or recorded for what would be Sgt. Pepper, but they needed singles. And, Sgt. Pepper is great the way it is, Of course, the Americans did better than the Brits. I mean, obviously the Beatles wanted to give you value and they put out an EP here. But all those great orphan singles, Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane, Baby You're a Rich Man, All You Need Is Love, it deserves to become canon. We know with all the box sets and everything since, Magic Mystery Tour is put out. When the CDs came out and beyond, it's put out as an album. Now, unfortunately, the American version had a lot of not great mastering and, of course, the way Capitol botched and put some things together, whatever. But not all the songs on side 2 are stereo. And I've showed this, and you probably know if you follow record collectors, people like me and many others, and you've heard. The one to get is the Horzu. This came out, I believe, in the 70s. Originally, it's German from that TV magazine thing. This true stereo side 2, the extra beat intro, and I'm the Walrus. This is the one. Apple, Beatles Apple, you need to reissue this from the original master tapes just like this. Beat the Horzu. There's no other version as good as this. I don't care what anybody says. This is the one. Do a new version of Magic Mystery Tour so it's all stereo, and it sounds really good. That was it. So that is my 1967 album of the songs that I would pick. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when they're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're strange. Talk about being strange. Anyway, thanks for listening. Make your playlist. What would you do? 12 1967 songs. You got to dip your foot in a psychedelia, but what about Ode to Billy Joe? Country. Didn't that knock off the Beatles? That album, I believe, knocked Sgt. Pepper off the charts. Bobby Gentry's album in 1967. Thanks for watching. I hope you had a good time. 1967, great year. People like this psychedelic-y 67 shit, don't they? Thanks for watching, Mazzy. Loves you.